Welcome, ladies and gentlemen. This will be the very first episode of my podcast, in which I like to call it the Infamous Podcast. That is not the final name of the podcast, it's just what I come up with for now. I am the host, Infamous MKC. Just a little introduction of various topics you'll hear from. You'll hear a wide range of different topics, be it sports, be it video games, be it movies, music, or just general life things. I want to put this disclaimer that my opinions are my opinions. I am sharing my thoughts with the masses. I like to engage in these conversations with people because I feel like there's a lot of different things that can draw a very interesting conversation, and you can actually build bonds when you realize that you have similar interests and you may have similar opinions. That being said, let's dive in to the very first topic that I want to discuss. The topic that I genuinely love to try to have conversations with, but don't usually get to have the greatest as I could say, the greatest type of dialogue. Usually it's a lot of strong opinions versus strong opinions, and there's never like a meet in the middle. So I'm hoping that me diving into this first topic, I wonder how many more people feel the same. Professional wrestling is interesting because it's going through so many phases throughout its history. But we're going to dive into more current era. I will have a episode for the classics later. As I am a huge fan of the Attitude Era, I really want to have more people involved with that topic. In the current state of wrestling, you have two companies that are trying to vie as the top tier company. And I personally enjoy both companies. I really don't have a loyalty to either company. I really don't care. There's a lot of people out there that are very strongly opinionated of they want to support one company, just one, and say they are the superior company. As a fan of professional wrestling, before I get into what I'm trying to get into, please, internet wrestling community, can we please stop the toxic bullshit? Like, seriously, can we stop the toxic bullshit? The online arguments, the constant, I think I know everything about wrestling and you don't mentality, the tribalism, it's unnecessary. Just enjoy wrestling. If you really are a fan of professional wrestling, just enjoy it. It doesn't matter what company you watch, just enjoy it. It's for your entertainment, not for you to treat it like gang warfare, okay? Because nothing pains me more than to sit there, look online, and see so many people getting into arguments over wrestling. Sometimes you can literally just have in a comment. You may disagree. You may have knowledge of something that somebody's commenting on that they obviously are unaware of. If somebody try to inform you of a fact about professional wrestling, no matter what it is, a company, a wrestler, a style, whatever, can we please just be open-minded? Because maybe you don't know everything. And for the record, I'm not going to claim that I know everything about professional wrestling. I have just been watching it for over 30 years. I've seen quite a few eras of professional wrestling. And I've had brainstorming ideas, if I was a story writer, how I would book certain things. I'll dive in a little bit of that later, because there is one example of how I would kind of get something started. Not necessarily how I would book the entire thing, but just to get it started. Okay? First of all, congratulations are in order, once again, to Will Ospreay. Congratulations, brother. You are in AEW now. You are all elite. And I wish nothing but the best for your career. I can't say that I've watched every single one of your matches, but the matches that I've seen, dude, you kill it. You kill it. So I hope you have a great career in AEW. Would I have personally liked to have seen you battle a few people in WWE? Sure. And I'm sure a lot of people would have. But you did what you felt was good for you. And all the respect in the world. You were going to have some great matches in AEW. And I look forward to seeing as many as I possibly can. However, last night there was a segment on Dynamite, and it pains me to have to talk about this in the manner in which I have to address this, because I am a fan of his as a wrestler. Not so much as what certain things he's done in his personal life. Yeah, I'm not going to dive into it. We've all heard about it. So I don't need to dive into it. You want to know more about that situation, go look it up. You want to know what I'm talking about? The plane ride from hell. We're not going into that. It's been covered enough. We don't need to dive into that again. Because I'm not here to judge him on whether or not he was guilty of what he was accused of or not. That's not what I'm here for. I'm talking about what he's doing in the ring. I have seen quite a few Ric Flair matches in my day. I've even gone back and watched some of the classics from back in the 70s and 80s. It pains me to see Ric Flair at the age of 75 to still be trying to do stuff in the ring when he clearly cannot. Last night, I saw this man execute a punch, and he literally looked like an old, crippled man trying to throw a punch. I vividly remember what was supposed to be his retirement match against Shawn Michaels. I remember the entire premise of the storyline being, your next match that you lose, you're done. When Ric Flair personally challenged Shawn Michaels, I knew that was his retirement match. It saddened me. Because though I'm not the biggest Ric Flair fan when it comes to his wrestling, which I'm not saying he's not a good wrestler, he's a tremendous wrestler for his time. The personality, the charisma, he had it all. The in-ring skills at the time, he had it all. He was the complete perfect wrestler, in my opinion. Yes, I understand he's not the original Nature Boy. We're not diving into any of that. That's not what this one is about. At what point do these companies that keep booking Ric Flair stop and think, this is not good for him? He needs to be trying to just live a life of retirement. He should stop trying to get in the ring to take bumps, to do anything. The man cannot even perform his signature chop correctly. This is one of the simplest moves in professional wrestling. And everybody just sat there and watched him struggle to just execute that. At what point do these promotions stop booking Ric Flair to do stuff in the ring? I can understand have him come in the ring, do a promo, and leave for the nostalgic purpose of people getting to see Ric Flair in the ring, just doing something. And the entire premise of all Ric Flair being involved in AEW, I guess, has something to do with Sting's last match, which is coming up this Sunday. By the way, Sting, you're one hell of a wrestler, man. You are one hell of a wrestler. Even at your age, still trying to perform the spots that you're performing. It's incredible to see. I still remember the very first Sting match that I got to see when you were still the Bart Surfer looking dude. And then the very first time you introduced a Crow-like persona, like that was just amazing. You just didn't say a word. You just came out, brought out the bat, whooped everybody's ass, and left. That was awesome. That was just some of the most awesome shit that you could see at that time. So congratulations are in order to Sting for such a great legendary career. However, I do not understand the point of Ric Flair being involved in this storyline, other than Ric Flair is looking for a payout. It's the only thing I can come up with. Now, maybe I'm wrong. Maybe there's more to it that I have not come across. And that's fine. Anybody that may have a little bit more information on it, please be willing to share. I'm always willing to soak in more information. And anybody who wants to sit there and say that was a pause that I just said, grow up. It's time for Ric Flair to stay away from the ring, and it's been time. He's going to get himself killed. I know a lot of Ric Flair fans don't want to hear that, but that's the reality. He's going to get himself killed. He's going to do a spot with the wrong wrestler that's going to do the wrong thing, and it's not going to end well. And none of us want to see that. None of us want to see that. So I just had to kind of share my little opinion about what happened with Ric Flair yesterday. Again, not trying to throw shade at him. I'm just thinking for his well-being, he really needs to stop this. I want to dive in a little bit into the three-way match this coming Sunday at Revolution. Samoa Joe, Adam Page, Swerve Strickland. Three men that I feel are really, really good at what they do. Really, really fucking good at what they do. The one thing that just doesn't sit right with me with this match is it feels like another one of those things where you build a guy up to look like he could be a top guy and you have no intention of ever getting him there. You never have any intention of him actually holding that top spot. The man in question, and I'm saying this about, is Swerve Strickland. Now, I've only known about Swerve Strickland for a few years. I hadn't really known about him through his days of Lucha Underground and a lot of the other indie promotions. I didn't really start picking up on him until he was in NXT, I believe. And I went back, searched through YouTube, tried to find some of his matches, and was highly impressed by the guy. Especially his work as Killshot. That was just some great shit. Now, AEW, and I truly believe this, AEW has kind of backed themselves in an unwinnable corner. What do I mean by that? For years, the stigma around WWE was that they only allow white guys to be the champion. And for the longest time, it was kind of hard to dispute that. As painful as that is for some people to accept, the WWE has not been too kind when it comes to having their black wrestlers hold the top titles. Now, before anybody tries to say, are you trying to say no black guy in WWE has ever been a champion? That's not what I just said. I said top champion. What does that mean? WWE champion. No disrespect to Seth Rollins and his World Heavyweight Championship, but that is not the top championship. We all know this. It is a secondary championship. It's the same thing that happened the first time the big gold belt was around back in the mid-2000s. Let's just be real about it. As wrestling fans, can we please stop with this notion that the big gold belt should be more prestigious than the WWE Championship, because it never has been in the history of the WWE. Do you not understand that in the mid-2000s into the early 10s, the only title that a black wrestler was able to attain past the Intercontinental Championship, which I don't care what anybody has to say, they do treat the Intercontinental Championship as being more prestigious and more sought after than the US title. Let's just get that out of the way. They do have no respect for the United States Championship. They don't. Why? Because that is a WCW product. The World Heavyweight Champion should be the highest tier. And it's not. Case in point, look at WrestleMania's card. What's everybody all up in arms about? What title? What title is Cody going after? What title does Roman hold? It's not the World Heavyweight Championship. And before anybody tries to tell me that the World Heavyweight Championship is just as prestigious as the WWE Championship, I want to ask you this question. Which championship has got all the media attention? Which championship was the big press conference about? No, it's not the World Heavyweight Championship. And even if you paid attention to this past week on Raw, they made it very crystal clear that World Heavyweight Championship is not even on their mind. They literally just slapped together Drew versus Seth for the sake of the fact that they really had no other interesting match for them. Let's just be real about it. Because we all know who the original match was supposed to be. CM Punk is unfortunately hurt. So you went for the next best thing. But did you? Did you, WWE? We'll get back to that later, because there's more about that I want to point out to people. Back to the three-way match. AEW has backed themselves into this corner. You have one or two things getting ready to happen. You're either going to have your first ever Black AEW champion, or B, you're going to carry the same stigma until you change it that WWE carried about their championship. Because up to this point, you have not yet had a Black AEW World Champion. As a matter of fact, as I'm sitting here trying to rack my brain, has there even been a Black challenger to this championship yet? I know the ROH Championship has had it. See, this was one of the topics a few years ago that was getting a lot of controversy when it came to how minorities were represented in AEW. Because, in all honesty, for the longest time, Jade Cargill was the only Black champion for a good amount of time. Didn't say she was the first. Didn't say she was the only. Said for a time, she was the only. I completely understand SCU in the Tag Team Championships. Shout out Scorpio Sky. This Sunday, I would hope to God that Tony Khan has a way to not make Swerve's push be for nothing. Now, granted, he doesn't necessarily have to make him the champion. No. We all know that. But if you want a bigger following from the Black community, that would probably be a good thing. Tony Khan, you might want to reconsider if you don't have Swerve winning the championship in your original plans. You might want to reconsider that. Because Tony Khan, it ain't just black people that are supporting Swerve. Pay attention to your audience. Pay attention to your crowds. They're ready for Swerve to be the champ. Don't do this dummy move and make Adam Page the champion again. As good as Adam Page is, he's already had his time with the belt. And considering some of the undertones in that rivalry can suggest a little bit of racism in that. Just saying. Kind of don't want the guy that's been the aggressor towards the black guy quite a bit to be the one that prevails, just saying. You don't want that stigma because the WWE caught it after one particular WrestleMania for a specific storyline they had that would seem very similar. White guy constantly putting down the black wrestler, trying to make him seem like he can never be the champion because he's not a guy like him. What does that supposed to mean? Tony Khan, don't do it. Don't recreate Booker T and Triple H. As much as we praise Triple H now as a booker and everything that he's been doing, let's not forget, Triple H had quite a few storylines which he got very racist and also threw in a little bit of that classism in there too. Let's not do that. Not in today's society. Let's not do that. Let's start getting some of the black wrestlers a chance. Let them show they can carry the company. Now, I touched on the whole Drew McIntyre incident. I'm going to touch on that a little bit further here. See, because there's one particular wrestler. I'm really, really getting tired of him being overlooked for a serious push and a serious top title run. And I understand they're not on the same show. But ask yourself this question. Are Roman and Cody on the same show? No, they're not. So what I'm about to point out is not far-fetched. Excuse me for a second. Let me provide some more light here. There we go. Kevin Owens. Why has this man not gotten another World Heavyweight Championship or WWE Championship run? For the fucking life of me, I cannot figure out what this man has to do to get another run. The guy is over, no matter whether he's a face or he's a heel. He does such a good job doing both. It baffles me how they can continue to keep this guy as a mid-card guy. What else does that man have to do? And I'm honestly talking to you, Triple H. He was supposed to be one of your guys. You were the one that wanted him for NXT. You're running the right main roster now. And you got him infused with Logan Paul? Come on, man. Seriously, Triple H? Seriously. Paul Levesque, please. Do better with Kevin Owens. Because I would have much rather loved to see a Kevin Owens versus Seth Rollins at WrestleMania for the World Heavyweight Championship. Hell, I would have rather have seen, I don't know, Bobby Lashley. Anybody forget about Bobby Lashley? You're telling me Cody is the only one that has to fight somebody that is impossible to beat when, help me out here. I understand the shit going on with Vince McMahon. I don't agree with any of it. Nor am I surprised by any of it either. I mean, the man kind of showed you during the Attitude Era that he was on that type of shit through those fucking storylines, and yeah, it went right over all y'all heads. None of this should be a surprise to anybody. It's documented. The man wanted a storyline where his kids were acting as if they were engaging in incest. And people want to act surprised about those allegations. I don't know what the hell y'all are ever paying attention to. But the one thing that he did do good, he made Bobby Lashley look like a motherfucking monster. Why has Bobby Lashley not looked anywhere close to that since Triple H has been taking over booking? What is the end game for the Pride? There's not even any momentum for that. All of this energy is being poured into the bloodline. Which, by the way, as a fan of professional wrestling, please can we be done with this fucking storyline? This storyline has gone on way too fucking long. That storyline should have ended last year. The way everything played out, it was supposed to be the downfall of the bloodline. How do you book the downfall of the bloodline just to keep it going? I will definitely make this bold prediction. And I really don't care if anybody agrees with this prediction or not. This is my prediction. You let Roman Reigns walk out of that stadium with that championship still, I guarantee you start seeing viewership drop. Because all you're doing is showing you're more worried about pushing one guy than to give overall quality product. Let me repeat that. You're focused on one guy instead of giving an overall quality product. We want to see new matches. We want to see new feuds. I'm tired of seeing Roman versus the entire roster 3 laps over. This shit's getting ridiculous. I mean, when you've gotten to the point, where all you can do is try to extend all of this by intentionally putting it out there. He's going to break this person's record. He's close to breaking this person's record. He's close to breaking this person's record. What are you telling your audience? Seriously. Booking staff of the WWE, ask yourselves this question. How are we advancing any of our roster if all of our efforts and all of our energy is focused on one storyline while the rest suffer? I challenge anybody watching this to name me one other interesting storyline going on in WWE right now. I know one storyline that probably will be mentioned is the Judgment Day. No. Let's just can that. Here's why I say that. I love R-Truth. I think he is literally one of the most entertaining wrestlers I've ever seen. Also, a wrestler that very well could have held the WWE Championship, at least for 2, 3, 4 months. Give him something. What was the purpose of him being any part of that storyline other than to just waste our time? It did literally nothing for anybody on the Judgment Day. It didn't even do anything for R-Truth. Let's just be real about it. It didn't even do anything for him. The idea of trying to reform the Awesome Truth, and where is that really going? A possible match at WrestleMania? Is anybody going to care? No. Nobody's going to care. And that's no disrespect to The Miz. It's no disrespect to R-Truth. That's just not the right storyline for y'all. It's just not. It's doing you no favors other than reforming something that was in the past. We need something more interesting. We need more interesting opponents. Which, you know what? I want to kind of dive into the whole Damian Priest thing for a second. I was for sure at some point he would end up losing in his attempt to cash in. I thought that was going to happen a few months ago. He's still obviously senior Money in the Bank. Here's my question. What is your end game with him? Because you're putting him in a corner that doesn't serve him well, one way or the other. Here's why I say that. Let's say he does cash in at WrestleMania. What is he going to have to do in turn? Is he not going to have to lose the tag team championships? What happens if he doesn't lose those? What if he decides to cash in during the World Heavyweight Championship match? What if he decides to make it a three-way? What if he decides to pull one of Seth Rollins' classic moves at WrestleMania? We all know what he did. Single-handedly saved WrestleMania 31's main event with one simple cash-in. Who's to say that history doesn't repeat itself and bites him right back in the ass? Taste a little of your own medicine, if you will. How do the fans react? One way or the other. Let's be real about it. How do they act? How do they respond to that? On one hand, you have a few people that are all for the idea of Damian Priest winning the championship. On the other hand, you have a handful of people that don't want him to see him win the championship, simply because he's part of the Judgment Day. So in the context of the storyline, some people don't like it. I personally would love to see Damian Priest get one of the major titles. Why are they teasing the idea of him cashing in on Gunther? Let me break down why that makes zero sense. In the very promo in which he made the little subtle hint of challenging Gunther, Damian Priest said, gaining all the titles gains all the power. There's one problem. He cannot win the Intercontinental Championship. Why? What power does that give you? You're not the man. You're not at the top if you get the IC Championship. How in the hell, as a group, trying to be the dominant faction of Raw, how in the fuck are you going to sell me Damian Priest, the fucking Money in the Bank holder, gets more power in the company by being the Intercontinental Champion instead of being the World Heavyweight Champion? Explain to me how that makes any sense. Like, seriously, explain how that makes any kind of fucking sense. I want the power, but I'm going to go for the secondary title of the show. What? So you want the power, you want to be at the top, but you don't want the top prize of your show. Who came up with that idea? You want to build Damian Priest to be a real threat. You make him a real threat to Seth Rollins. not Gunther. By the way, when it comes to Gunther, why in the fuck is he not in a feud with Sheamus? You mean to tell me the guy that literally had the best match out of every fucking match that Gunther's had in WWE, he can't get another shot at Gunther at the biggest fucking event that you claim is the biggest event, which quite frankly lately I'm starting to not believe that. You literally just had a whole fucking stadium in Australia for Elimination Chamber. I thought that was them kind of arenas, them kind of venues were reserved for the four big ones. Remember that? Remember the four big ones? Rumble, WrestleMania, Survivor Series, SummerSlam. And we're packing out big ass stadiums like that for Elimination Chamber? So you're saying Elimination Chamber is just as big as the other four? Interesting. Interesting. I mean, at this point, if you're gonna fucking give Elimination Chamber to in Australia, when the fuck is WrestleMania going to the UK then? That's long overdue. That's long overdue. When's WrestleMania going to be in the UK? When's WrestleMania going to be in Japan? When's WrestleMania going to be in Australia? You notice how they keep going out of the country for all these little events? But T keep telling you that the big events are still the four. Interesting. You had literally an entire stadium at the edge of their seat thinking Sheamus was just about to dethrone Gunther. A match that featured none of the flippy flop moves, just straight up ass whooping. Straight up ass whooping from two big motherfuckers. And it was a masterpiece. One of the greatest fucking matches I've ever watched. How do you not book that for WrestleMania? It's literally sitting right there. The fans have been begging for it. And you still refuse to book it. See, that's why Sheamus is going to end up in AEW. You're going to piss that motherfucker off. He's going to go to AEW. He's going to have some banger ass matches. Then what? Hey, I got a question. Y'all don't think Will Ospreay versus Sheamus ain't gonna be some shit? Cause you know what's gonna happen. Sheamus goes to AEW, that match is gonna happen. So, what are we doing for WrestleMania? What are we doing? This is supposed to be one of your biggest WrestleManias ever. Number 40. Good God, 40. 5 years older than me. 40. And it's literally, at this point, one of the most underwhelming cards I've ever seen for a WrestleMania. I really want to know what's going on with this whole. As much as I don't really personally like the guy, I can't stand him, to be quite honest with you. Everybody could give him his praise. Oh, he does such a good job for a guy that's never had, that wasn't a part of wrestling and before it, blah, blah, blah. The idea that we could potentially be getting Logan Paul versus Randy Orton? Hell no. Hell no. Hell no. Are you fucking crazy? You talking about Logan Paul, social media guy, going against arguably one of the greatest WWE wrestlers in the history. My personal opinion, that's a downgrade for Randy Orton. They had to put up with that. Again, he's pretty good. He's pretty good. Does he really deserve a match with Randy Orton, though? Be honest with yourselves. Does he? Does he really? Does he really belong in the same ring with Randy Orton right now? Nah, and you know it. Because the same people that are trying to act like, oh no, Randy Orton versus Logan Paul would be dope. You were the same people that sat there and said you didn't want to see Seth Rollins versus Logan Paul because you thought it was a waste of fucking Seth Rollins' time. Don't think that I didn't pay attention to those comment sections back last year when they were building that matchup. A lot of you shared the exact same fucking opinion. You didn't want to see that match. You felt that was beneath Seth Rollins. You felt that Logan Paul didn't earn that match yet. How do you feel now? Do you still feel the same way? Or are you going to pretend like your feelings about him change and now all of a sudden, oh yeah, he's the shit? I heard the boos at Elimination Chamber. There's a difference between a motherfucker getting booed because it's a heel and a motherfucker getting booed because they just don't want to see your ass in the match. They don't understand why you're even in the match. Hell, I don't understand why the hell he has the United States Championship. What did he do to earn that? How many matches did he have before he had that match with Rey Mysterio? Well, you can count them all on one hand, right? How do they dub the United States Championship and the Intercontinental Championships? They dub them as the Workhorse Championships, correct? Which means you would have to be performing week in, week out, putting on great match after great match, building your fucking self up that the people are behind you. Who the fuck was behind Logan Paul, and how the fuck did he get away with only having like one or two, maybe three matches before he got a title? How the fuck did he get away with this? Anybody that is a true fan of professional wrestling knows that is a fucking insult. You want to go and say, oh, but it's about the business. So you want to alienate your business? By basically saying anybody that's from YouTube or whatever can just hop in our ring and win championships. Stop it. Just stop it. That's why when it comes to celebrity wrestlers, I have more respect for Bad Bunny and Pat McAfee. You don't see any of them going for championships. You don't see any of them demanding championship matches. Because they know they're not there in that ring week in, week out to earn that right to have that match. I thought professional wrestling as a whole would have learned from the David Arquette bullshit. Oh yeah, I just brought that up. Because he had no business having that damn championship either. Just because he made a fucking movie doesn't mean he deserves a championship. That was an embarrassment to professional wrestling. And it also was a key reason why WCW failed. Because it became a joke. The moment he won that championship, that company became exactly what it started to become, a joke. And this is coming from a person that literally watched WWF and WCW during the Monday Night Wars. So I'm not speaking as some diehard WWF fan that just wants to shit on WCW. No, I watched both shows. I saw from my own eyes what the fuck happened to WCW. It went from up here to being because of one bad decision after another. In WWE, if you're not careful, you're gonna fall in that same fucking trap. I don't give a damn who the fuck is backing you financially. Endeavor, TK, I don't give a fuck about none of that. You fuck around this WrestleMania and you don't take that damn WrestleMania, that World Heavyweight Championship, first of all, away from Seth Rollins, because goddamn, we need a new champion on Raw. Second, if you don't get that WWE Championship away from Roman Reigns, I'm sorry. Don't be surprised when you see viewership start to fall. Because we're tired of seeing the same fucking people holding the belts. You've had Roman Reigns holding the damn championship for almost 4 fucking years. Why? He's not even the top merch seller right now. What is the point of riding him to your riches when he's not even the one generating your fucking money? The guy that's generating your money should have won last year at WrestleMania. So again, if we're going to talk business, we're going to talk the business aspect of it. You're doing bad business keeping Roman as your champion. Because I understand the stigma. You keep that guy as your champion, people are going to keep paying to come see him lose. At what point do you start to not notice people are going to start tuning the shit out? Because when you make it obvious you have no intention of making him drop that title anytime soon, people stop watching because they already know what's going to happen. Roman's going to win because somebody's going to come and help him win, because that's how it's been for the last 2 fucking years. Name me a Roman Reigns WWE Championship match that somebody did not interfere in the last 2 years. You can't even build this guy as the dominant champion because he has yet to prove that he can do it on his own within the confines of a storyline. You haven't yet to do that. So, what are we going to do about that, WWE? What are we going to do about that? That's got to change. Not only for the sake of the company, but the sake of keeping your fans not feeling like they're wasting their time watching your product. By the way, I've been hearing a lot of the rumbling from fans of the WWE 2K series. Not very good rumblings. Been seeing a lot of people saying, "We're here we go, it's the 2K effect. We're paying for the same game every fucking year. We just updated attire and an updated roster." Matter of fact, let's just veer this conversation into the gaming aspect, shall we? Because there's a couple more examples of that I can point out. I can point out the NBA 2K series. I can point that out to the Madden NFL series. I can point it to every fucking sports series that is a video game out here right now. If you are a yearly franchise, you suck. Let me repeat that again. If you're a yearly franchise, you suck. Why do you suck? Because you're literally pushing out the exact same fucking shit you pushed out the year before, and all you did was tweak the visuals, updated the looks, updated the rosters, but you did nothing gameplay wise. And we are not stupid. We're the ones playing the games. You keep telling us you guys are changing the game play, and you know the hell you're not. EA, 2K, you two companies ought to be ashamed of your fucking selves for charging $70 to $150 every fucking year for your games that you ain't doing new with at all. You ain't doing shit new with them. And that's the truth. You're not doing shit new with any of these games. Here's an idea. Here's an idea. 2K, EA. Listen to me. I'm a gamer. I know what the fuck I'm talking about. I play your products. You want people to stop feeling like they're playing the same shit every fucking year? Do us a favor. Make one game and just update it every fucking season. How about that? NBA 2K, you just download the base, you get everything for that season, and then you just update it for the next season. And no, don't charge me no motherfucking $70 for that shit. No, don't do that. Because I'm telling you right now, I don't give a fuck how much y'all want to keep trying to say all these millions pour into making these games. I call motherfucking bullshit. You ain't putting no damn effort into these games. You are copying and pasting and telling us it's a new game. What's that? Somebody in the back say that louder. You guys are literally copying, pasting the same fucking game every year and telling us it's something new. I, for one, am one of the people that decided to wake the fuck up and realize dropping $70 to $150 on NBA 2K just ain't worth my time. It ain't worth my time or my money. Dropping 70 to 150 bucks for Madden this year? Nah, not doing it. I was one of the people that waited for it to drop on Game Pass. Just like I will with 2K. I'll wait for it to come on Game Pass and I'll play for a little bit. Y'all not getting another dime out of me, personally. Y'all not getting another dime out of me when it comes to those games. It's just not happening. And I feel that's what's going to start happening with the WWE 2K series. It's already basically gotten to that point. I've literally been reading comments of people saying this is literally WWE 2K23 with updated attire and slightly better visuals. Oh, you actually added match types that you should have been had for the last how many fucking years did you guys have 2K that you guys have fucking had this franchise? But I guess we, as wrestling fans, we shouldn't have expected anything different considering how you've been with the fucking the NBA series. You've been the same fucking way with the NBA series. You guys copy and paste the same fucking visuals, the same character models, and then just put them on a different team if they change teams. You just slapped a different jersey. But you're not really fucking giving me a new game. You're not doing anything new with it. You're not doing anything to make it more fun for me. Hell, the idea that you feel the need to literally make the My Career mode literally impossible to play without spending VC is fucking ridiculous. I'm already paying $70 to $150 for this game. Now I gotta see, you're telling me now in order to play this mode that everybody says that's why they get 2K4. Now I gotta fucking spend hundreds of dollars on VC to be able to level up my character because playing it just regular grind is gonna take me 3 times as long to fucking get to where everyone else is? Because you barely give XP for accomplishing anything? Pay to win. That's what 2K has become. Pay to win. You don't necessarily have to pay to play. But if you want to win, you're going to have to pay. I don't give a fuck what your damn skill level is. There ain't a motherfucker on here that can sit there and tell me they've gotten to the high level 90s and not spend a dime on VC. Because the only way you could have possibly pulled that off is if you literally played that game nonstop from the time you turn that shit on whether you play on Xbox, PlayStation, I don't really give a fuck. Unless you were literally been playing it nonstop, not sleeping, not eating, not doing anything, you're a fucking liar. You spent money on VC. So cut the bullshit. Also, I touched on the copy and paste thing with video games. That also applies to this one franchise that I've grown to just absolutely despise, and that's Call of Duty. And it's sad because my early Xbox 360 experience was just filled with memories of playing Call of Duty 4 Modern Warfare. Running around with the crew, Swift, Silent, Deadly. Shout out to them. Matter of fact, Let me shout out the names. Ghost World 5, Black Wolf, also known as Killer Fox back in the day. The boy OG1, also known as Pinky. You got the Doctor of Freakdom. You got the Master of Chaos, Mr. Chaos Theory. Real treat. Shout out to all y'all, if any of y'all just so happen to come past this. The love is always still there for y'all. Swift, silent, deadly to the day that we die. May be lame to some of you motherfuckers, but that group was a lot tighter than any of y'all will ever know. So shout out to them. But Call of Duty has become one of the biggest jokes in gaming. You have Activision and you have Infinity Ward, you have Treyarch, you have Sledgehammer. These three developing companies right here have literally been failing since the Xbox One and PS4 release. Name me one really good Call of Duty game that has come out since the Xbox One till now. Since the PS4 till now. Name me one. Name me one that you literally played from the time that that shit came out to the time that that damn thing was basically done with its life because the next Call of Duty came out. Realistically. Realistically, do you really play all these games? No, you don't. Everyone still says that Modern Warfare 2 was the best Call of Duty. I don't believe that. And I played Modern Warfare 2. I don't believe that. I don't believe that at all. I believe it was one of the most broken games. But the best? No. How can something that the developer didn't even finish, by their own admission, did not actually finish the game, can you call that the best? I still personally say Call of Duty 4, the original Modern Warfare, is always going to be the best one. Because it was the one fucking game that killed Halo. Let's be real about it. Halo fans, you want to fucking come at me? Come at me in the comments. I don't really give a fuck. You know damn well, Halo 3, Call of Duty 4. When Call of Duty 4 dropped, how quick that fucking player count dropped on Halo 3. So, don't get mad at me. The public spoke. The gaming community spoke on that. Not me personally. And EA, DICE specifically, what in the fuck happened to y'all? Like, seriously, what happened to y'all? That Battlefield 2042, whatever the hell that shit, that was some straight bullshit. That was straight bullshit, dude. That was terrible. I bought that game hoping that game would get me back into online shooters. And it just pissed me off just as much as Call of Duty. Lack of content when it first dropped. To be honest with you, I don't know what this current state of that game is, nor do I really give a shit. So anybody that wants to come and say, "Oh, but you haven't put," I don't care. It had its chance to make its impression on me. It failed. I'm done with it. Which is why I've grown more fond of the fighting game genre. I will say this when it comes to fighting games. I do not know what happened over there in NetherRealm, but something about this Mortal Kombat 1, the longer it's out, just doesn't seem right to me. It feels more and more, the longer it's out, that this was literally a rush job game. Also considering the little tidbit of information I came across that Injustice 3 was originally supposed to be the game that released instead of Mortal Kombat 1, it leads me to wonder if a lot of the mechanics that we find in MK1 were really meant for Injustice 3. At the same token, I've also seen a lot of fan theories suggesting that because of the way that they did the story for Mortal Kombat 1, that leaves the door open that the next game they release will be MK versus DCU Part 2. I hate to be the bearer of bad news to a lot of people that don't really look up shit. There's literally a list out there of leaked games that you can find. Injustice 3 is on that list. Pay attention to the details of what they tell you. Mortal Kombat 1 was not supposed to have been released right now. It just was not supposed to be. It was not supposed to be that game. And the idea of MK versus DCU Part 2, I personally didn't have that much of an issue with the original game. Gameplay wise, I felt it was pretty solid. Did it feel weird having Mortal Kombat characters not really do real fatalities? Yeah, it was a little weird. But if you're a true fighting game fan and not just a fan of wanting to see body parts being ripped apart and blown up and all that shit, you actually found an appreciation for the game. But not enough of appreciation to want a part 2. So NetherRealm, don't do it. Just don't do that. As much as I would love to see you redeem that game, just don't do it. You guys seriously need to fix what's out right now. You just do. And if anybody wants to know my opinion about the Peacemaker character, I don't like it. I don't like it. It's cool. They got John Cena on there to do the mocap, the voice. He does the mannerisms like on the show. But to play him, there's nothing interesting about him. It's stiff, it's slow, it's just not good. And to be quite honest with you, I've really been disappointed with a lot of the DLC characters thus far, outside of, except for Omni-Man. Omni-Man was pretty decent. Quan Chi, terrible. Terrible, terrible, terrible. Peacemaker, just as bad. Just as bad. My only hope I'm hanging on to now is that they at least did Ermac correctly. If they didn't make Ermac play correctly on this game, I might end up literally just saying screw that game. And I am a huge Mortal Kombat fan. I literally live streamed the entire storyline in one sit-down run. I had people tell me I was insane for it. But I kind of left that story feeling a little bit disappointed. Because it felt like they just made more questions than they actually answered anything. I do want to briefly touch on the rumors of the PS5 Slim releasing this year. I think it'd be good as long as they actually do real improvements on the actual console. That makes sense. I'm sorry, not the Slim, the Pro. Because you've literally been, for the last, what, how many years, Sony, have you been saying that the PlayStation 5 is the more powerful console between PS5 and the Series X? Now you're trying to come up with a Pro. What exactly are you going to do with that you're not going to implement on a PS6? Because you're literally going to implement a lot of the same features you could save for the PS6 onto this Pro. And then you have Microsoft discussing going completely digital again. I get it in one hand because a lot of things are going digital. On the other hand, what about the ones that don't buy games digital still? There's still quite a few people that still buy their games on disc, physical copies. It's not a far-fetched idea. However, what is far-fetched? Nah. I really, really, really just want both consoles to just do good. I normally try to have both consoles. Not for bragging rights, literally just because I don't want to limit my fun. There's games on both consoles I enjoy to play. There's games on the Switch I enjoy to play. Sorry, PC people, I just not into PC. I'm not into the idea of spending thousands of dollars on a console, on something to play a video game. I don't see the purpose of that. I can literally get a console, spend no more than $400 to $500, and I got all the equipment I need to run the games. PC, I just ain't got the time and energy for all that. Not saying that I'm against the PC people. It's just not for me. So more power to everybody that runs on PC only. Hey, you got more patience than me. I just don't feel the need to buy one. I don't feel the need to entertain the idea that I have to. But what I will do is I will leave everybody with this. We touched on professional wrestling. We touched on briefly video games. I want to leave everybody with this thought. It is okay to be a fan of what you're a fan of. Just don't be a dick and try to impose that, oh, because you're a fan of something and somebody else is not, that they suck and they don't know any better and blah, blah, blah. Because that's not what we're supposed to be doing. We're supposed to be enjoying our video games. We're supposed to be enjoying professional wrestling. In all honesty, the arguments online, none of you were getting paid by these companies to fucking argue. You guys that sit here and implement this stupid tribalism when it comes to video games, you guys need to grow the fuck up. Because at the end of the day, they both do the same fucking thing. They play video games for you to enjoy. You have a preference, that's fine. But to go around with the, you're an Xbot, or you're a Sony pony, or you're just a PC dipshit. Man, stop it. Ain't none of these PC companies paying you motherfuckers to promote this shit. No, Sony ain't paying you motherfuckers to promote the PS5. Microsoft ain't paying you motherfuckers to promote the Xbox. Online with all these other motherfuckers that you don't even know who the fuck they are. But because they play the console that supposedly is your enemy, you can't have a civil conversation about video games. Let's do better, people. Because it's just unnecessary to be that way. So, I thank you all for taking the time to hear me speak. Now, I don't have a set schedule just yet of how often I'm going to be doing these recordings, my little startup podcast, if you will. But I'm hoping to be able to dive into different topics, share my opinion, trying to get the conversation and dialogue going about a few things. Definitely wanted to make NBA and the NFL as one of my topics. I mentioned about, just general life things. I want everybody to understand. The day that comes that I do the topics about the general, just life stuff, I'm not trying to come at you as a life coach. I am simply sharing things that have happened from my own personal experience about certain subjects. That's it. We've all had our own different experiences, and that's what makes all of us unique. None of us are the exact same. None of us have had the exact same situation. But if we can help each other get through similar situations, if we see something that looks a little familiar and you knew what that solution was to get out of it, don't be afraid to give advice. Because the worst thing that's going to happen is they're not going to listen to you. And that's okay. You did the best you could. And with that, until next time, please be peaceful with one another, and please respect and love one another, because we need more of that in this world.